Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that will take us to around the 28th of December, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECL ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at the CFSB2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, taking us well into January, of course. A 5-day forecast has been released. That's the last 5-day forecast of the year, because next week, of course, on Wednesday, it's Christmas Day, and the following week will be New Year's Day. So we'll be taking a bit of a break, and we'll return. The 5-day forecast will return on the 8th of January. Right, let's get on with it then. We're going to pick up with the GFS ensembles. We're looking at Manchester today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Manchester. And temperatures on their way up. We're going to have a milder spell coming up in the second half of this week. Temperatures going well above average. Then they slide down a little bit actually over the weekend into the early part of next week. Temperatures on their way back down for a little while before probably picking up again just after Christmas. That's around day 10 just there. In the more extended range, there continues to be a lot of scatter. So we have the ensemble members up here that are very mild, taking us through to the end of the year. These ones down here are much colder. GFS and its ensembles are swinging around from milder to colder solutions. Nothing definitive about a colder, drier spell of weather. It's all just hints and maybes still at the moment for this last week of December, that we may turn things drier and we may turn things colder, but there is nothing definitive there at the moment. So the models are having all sorts of problems trying to work out what's happening during this last week of December. And it is proving to be a real nightmare, I have to say. Wouldn't you know it, nightmare for Christmas, but there we go. Precipitation-wise, lots of rainfall to come. Bear in mind, this is for Manchester, so it's one of the wetter places in the country, but nevertheless, loads of rain in the next week or so over Christmas. Again, more wet weather is showing up there over the days of Christmas itself, unfortunately, for Manchester. After that, regular rainfall spikes too. You have to say there is very little sign of a spell of definitive dry weather there through the last days of December and into early January. It does look as though the GFS ensembles at the moment want to keep things very, very unsettled. Temperature anomalies from the 18th to the 26th of December, a little bit above average, particularly so for England and Wales, nearer normal for Scotland and for Northern Ireland. Precipitation anomalies from the 18th to 26th of December are above average in most parts of England and Wales in particular. Excuse me, quite a wet week coming up. It's a little bit drier up to the north. Over in America, many parts of the states are milder than average, particularly in the Midwest and going up to those northern states. It's a little bit cooler on the eastern side of the states and down in the southeast, and also over towards the Pacific coast of America. But generally, it's a milder than average scene through most of those states, and pretty dry as well in many states, particularly northern and eastern parts of America. This hour, GFS is looking for Saturday. Wet and windy, low pressure is piling in from off the Atlantic. Deep low over country on Sunday. This will cover by the weekend forecast, of course. It's midnight run of a GFS, by the way. Thought I'd show you that to start off with. Into next week, more low pressure is piling in off the Atlantic. This is Christmas Eve. Yes, another low is sitting just to the west. That's going to be bringing copious amounts of rain with it if it comes off. By Christmas Day, that gets out of the way and moves into the North Sea, and we're left with a little ridge of high pressure building across the country for Christmas Day, something a bit drier and colder. But look at this. This is Boxing Day. Next deep low is rattling in. That could be bringing heavy rain, maybe on the northern edge, a little bit of snow, actually, with that one. Friday 27th of December then takes the low pressure away to the south and starts to build some higher pressure both to the north and the east. So we're at day 10 now, which is Saturday the 28th of December. We're trying to build some higher pressure to the north and east. Low pressure still desperately trying to get in from off the Atlantic. And what actually happens with this midnight GFS run is that these areas of low pressure get forced southwards by the ridge that's building to the north. It takes a while to get into drier conditions, but it does go colder as these low pressures and the jet stream gets forced southwards. The ridge builds to the north, and that allows winds to turn into the east by New Year. So this is New Year's Day, first day of January 2020. On the midnight GFS run is cold with easterly winds. And it just gets colder actually through the opening days of January, proper easterly in there. There's the upper air temperature showing the minus 10 Celsius ice wave is pushing through the country, so bitterly cold with snow showers for eastern parts of the country in particular by New Year with the midnight GFS run. But have a look at the 6 o'clock. This is the latest one, although the midday run will be appearing from 3:30 this afternoon. So Saturday and Sunday again looking very unsettled. Low pressure driving in from off the Atlantic, bringing bands of wet weather with it. Moving into the early part of next week, well, that low pressure that we have on Christmas Eve on the midnight GFS run is eradicated on the 6 o'clock run. So it just tells us how uncertain things are. Even in less than a week's time, we're sort of eradicating areas of low pressure from one run to another. Absolutely incredible amounts of uncertainty. That's Christmas Day. A little bit of a ridge on Christmas Day, slightly drier and colder, but Boxing Day through to the 27th of January, more low pressure is piling in off the Atlantic. That's bringing more bouts of rain with it up to day 10. Very unsettled. Remember, winds remaining westerly though with this one, so it's milder as well after Christmas, but also wet. In the more extended range, that's very mild as we push up those southwesterly winds around the turn of the year. That's how we look at the end of the 6 o'clock GFS run. And try to go a bit colder with northerly winds then, but the basic setup is still very unsettled with low pressure in control. Not much in the way of a drier interlude from that one. This is the GM, low pressure driving in from off the Atlantic over the weekend and into the early part of next week. We keep it unsettled too. So this is Christmas Eve with low pressure out to our west. That's Christmas Day. Low pressure is to the east, so it's coming across the country over Christmas Eve, bringing a very wet Christmas Eve to base. So that's by Christmas Day, winds are in from the north, and it's dry but also quite cold. Then the GM does start to build some pressure, some high pressure. So the GM is going for something a bit drier just after Christmas. This is a cold ridge that's building across the country. Winds are coming in from the north around this ridge of high pressure. And eventually it's trying to get the high pressure up to Scandinavia, actually, trying to get wind in from the east or the northeast. So that could bring some snow showers onto the eastern coast. By day 10, which is Saturday 28th of December. So the GM goes drier and colder right at the very end. But again, you'll have gathered from what's happening with the GFS that that's very uncertain and probably won't come off. ECM over the weekend, very unsettled. Low pressure continues to be dominating the weather up to Christmas. That's how we're looking. So, but ECM is a little bit drier for Christmas Eve. That low pressure not really showing up with the ECM for Christmas Eve. This is such a mess and such a job to decipher what's going on. Christmas Day is probably a bit drier and a bit colder, and then into the post-Christmas period we get this ridge building up from the south. This is a mild ridge. It is turning us drier, and it will be very mild, particularly for more northern and western parts of the country under that area of high pressure. So we've got the midnight and the 6 o'clock GFS runs there at odds with one another. We've got the GM and the ECM at odds with one another too. You'll have gathered this is an absolute nightmare before Christmas to try and work out what's going on. ECM precipitation forecast from Tometeo.com looks like that. So rain is piling into west as we speak, and it's going to turn very wet across most parts of the country through the next 24 hours or so. Further showers, if not longer spells of rain through to the end of the week too, particularly affecting England and Wales. Into the weekend, very showery. Into the early part of next week, not as wet through the early part of next week up to Christmas Eve as the GFS is, but there is still rain around, particularly in more western parts of the country. That's late Christmas Eve, some rain, possibly hill snow in the north. That's Christmas Day, a little bit dry for Christmas Day, a bit showery in the northwest. And then after Christmas, the rain mainly in the north as that ridge builds up from the south. So it turns a bit drier after Christmas. These are options on the table within the East ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. This is the 28th of December. We have, can you believe it, 13 members of the East ensembles with high pressure over top of the coach. That's a mild ridge as well, although I suppose it could be frost and fog. 11, that includes the operational and the control ECM run, by the way. 11 with high pressure over Scandinavia, winds are from a colder easterly direction. 10 bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic, that's a milder but also slightly more unsettled option. 9 with high pressure to the south and the east, that's a drier and mild option. And then 8 with high pressure to the north, bringing cold, potentially very cold east or northeasterly winds with snow showers. So loads of different options to go at there. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. 2nd of January, and 19 members of the East ensembles with high pressure over to the south of the country, back list of jet stream north, mild and dry. 17 with high pressure to our north, bringing in very cold easterly winds, cold and dry, possibly with snow showers in the east. And 15 a little bit more unsettled and also relatively mild or near normal with temperatures there. Still, we've got the hints of some higher pressure between Christmas and New Year, but whether it actually comes to anything and what the temperature is going to be doing, I mean, it's just so uncertain at the moment that it really is a nightmare to try and pin this down. Finally, CFSV2, these are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period takes from the 18th to 24th of December to receive. Looks very unsettled. Low pressure is driving in from off the Atlantic, so the deluge goes on. Week 2 is the 25th of December, Christmas Day to New Year's Eve, with low pressure again out to the west, and we're still bringing in those westerlies. We have got quite a strong blocking feature up to the north, but not not enough to produce anything cold. So that's still mild and unsettled up to New Year. Week 3 is the 1st to the 7th of January, low pressure again, still driving in off the Atlantic with those westerly winds. And week 4, you've guessed it, low pressure goes on, 8th to the 14th of January, the deluge continues. Probably quite cool. Winds are probably in from the northwest. The jet stream is aligning northwest to southeast. But the main thing is that up to the middle of January, the CFS keeps it very unsettled. No interlude of high pressure. No interlude of drier conditions. Just very, very unsettled with low pressure continuing to drive in from off the Atlantic. So, what we know, up to Christmas, it's going to be very unsettled. Over and after Christmas, there are still hints of something a little bit drier, potentially a little bit colder, but it's only hints and maybes at the moment, and it's equally as possible that we just keep the onslaught going through Christmas, through New Year, and possibly even through the first half of January too. And if so, I think we'll all be in our waterproofs, and we'll all have grown things probably by the middle of January, because the deluge has gone on so long and it looks like it could continue, but we shall see. It's possible we might turn things drier and colder over and after Christmas, but this, as you've gathered, is proving to be an absolute nightmare trying to work out what's going on. So more runs needed, and we'll keep you updated in the days ahead. Right, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.